Okay. Yeah, we officially kind of started now. So, yo, what is up, guys? It's Phantom here today. Um, yeah, we're doing a Lost Masters podcast, but a lot of us aren't here yet. We're getting there. But I'm gonna let the people introduce themselves. So, you two, been a while, so reintroduce yourself, guys.
Who you want to go first?
I was assuming we were going to go in order of the Discord thing.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll let you guys do it. I guess
All
we'll,
right.
yeah, we'll go in order.
I'll just set it off. All right. What's up, everybody? It's Hector here, otherwise known as on the interwebs as also Lord Macho for lordsgaming.net. I'm a freelance writer for that website as well as for comic book resources. If you've heard of that, cbr.com. I've been on YouTube game for quite some time, but you catch most of my work on reading on the web, talking about video games for the most part. You can also follow me at Twitter at Hector_Ram, capital II, number 2. So yeah, follow me for some work and some video game stuff.
Alright, Frozen, go ahead.
It's me, the Frozen Cavern, and the last time we did these, I believe I was doing Let's Plays. I don't think we did it
I think you were, that was when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. So you were, doing...
Okay, so that was like when I started changing up my content every channel. But now I do reviews for old license-based games, stuff from GameCube, PS2 typically, and I also have done reviews for modern games as well, like Undernight and also Cave Street, as Phantom just mentioned.
And, you guys know me, do fighting game content now. Like, I've legit changed multiple content. I sometimes do review like Frozen, but it depends on the game if I'm interested in it. And, yeah, that's 3 of us, but the other ones are coming. So, yeah, do any of you guys have any upcoming projects you'd like to talk about before we completely get into everything? Like any projects or articles that you have written or any videos you have planned that you'd like to discuss?
Personally for me, on lordsofgaming.net, I'm working on the review for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. It is a very long game, but I'm kind of breaking it down just so I can get a review out for that. But a lot of stuff that we're focused on the site is the events are obviously coming up for PS5 and all that. So those are stuff that I'm working on personally, and just trying to beat these games too, because right now we're kind of in a drought before the big hitters come in a couple months.
Yeah, that is true. Frozen, how about you? Got any projects you'd like to discuss or videos you'd like to tell anything?
Nothing in terms of anything really big. I know I'm currently working on Tarzan on PS1, as well as Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi for anyone who remembers that on Game Boy.
Tarzan PS1 is so good.
I didn't know
I
how.
have been playing it, and it's it is actually pretty good, but I'm saving most of my opinions for the actual review itself.
Yeah, I didn't know Hi Puffy. I mean, you had a game.
Yeah, there's one on Game Boy Advance, and then there's another one on DS.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have to. Me, not much. I am working on a Streets of Rage 4 review, and I am doing other stuff with other people, but other than that, not much. There is a giant comic dub I'm working on, which I'll probably get into that later, but let's get into kind of the topics right now. One topic we have to save for the end, because it is a little bit of a controversial one, but let's start with something a little bit happy. I don't think any of you I think most of you know that Kingdom Hearts, the mobile game, is now having an expansion called Dark Road. It will focus on Xehanort and his, path through the worlds. And I genuinely want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on it. Like, are you interested? Should this have been a different type of game? Like, what's going on with that? Oh,
In
wait.
terms of what?
I said, wait 1 minute, because Wind is here. Wind, do you want to reintroduce yourself after, years of us not doing this?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Win.
It's been a while. He got some bass in his voice.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure if he like just woke up or something.
His sleepy voice sounds better than mine. Only you can stop smoking 5 packs a day.
Only you can stop forest fire. I physically can't. I'm good.
Got any projects or anything you want to talk about before we get into the topic?
I'm doing VA stuff. That's about it. I can't really sit there and say, hey, I got a project. I do have a series that I plan on putting out there, but other than that,
Bro, none of us know how to self-advertise.
yeah, I'm not good. I'm not good at this.
Nobody. Like, even Hector was all low-key about it. Frozen was all low-key about it. Like, none of us, advertised ourselves.
I gotta plan it. So it's been like, I can't just sit there and be like, hey guys, I'm doing this, and this. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna hold off until it happens.
Yeah. And, but yeah, Kingdom Hearts Dark Road. What are you guys' thoughts on it? It's, again, a Xehanort's focused game, but it's mobile.
I mean, granted, I don't know how to feel about it.
See, when Square like announced it, like people thought it would be like a regular game, but like then we saw the very first screenshot of it. And it's just it's key. So now most people aren't really going to pay too much attention to it until like Everglow or other Cage tubers like put that stuff on YouTube, or it's on like Cage Insider and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Kingdom Hearts Key and Dark Road should get the same treatment as Shiny. Just because I mean, I guess everyone's sort of expecting a larger scale than this. I was expecting something that was gonna really showcase but I mean, that's what it's gonna be doing, but I definitely would have wanted to see that. In a game that's sort of similar to Cage 3.
Yeah. Hector, what's your thought on it?
I'm just really indifferent to it. Just the announcement itself sounded like it was something that was worth paying attention to, and when it was just kind of like an expansion of Unchained, I was very disinterested just because Unchained kind of has like a bitter place for me
Yeah.
as far as the Kingdom Hearts series goes. So the fact that it's just like an extension of that game, but with something about Masters of Xehanort, I don't know, it leaves me in a bitter state. I like the fact that it's about Xehanort, but at this point, I don't know. At this point, it's like, is there really anything more about Xehanort that we have to know?
Yeah.
At the end of Cage 3, it seems it was kind of, case open, case shut kind of situation, but
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it goes.
With me on it, I was never interested in Union Cross, so it's like even when I played it, I was bored. So it's like I'm not gonna, and then like getting to the main story parts, you have to do so much fucking like bullshit with it, and I'm like
So much grinding.
Yeah.
One cutscene that doesn't even add up. It's like, okay.
Like, I understand, like, oh, well, you can take it on the go. Like, I could do that with Birth by Sleep, and I still got a lot more information.
You can do that with 358 over 2 days.
And
even then, it doesn't work there.
Yeah, but it's like, at least there's story parts. Like, I feel like there's no story.
Something.
Yeah, so I'm like, as much as I'm excited to know about Xehanort, it's like, at the same time, you put it on an inferior game compared to what it could have been.
A little late.
Yeah.
It feels like it's kind of late to try to flesh out Xehanort after he died.
I feel like
Similar.
Remind
It's not
already
even
did
like
it.
6 months afterwards either. It's like a full on. It came out last year, so it's like nearly 2 years afterwards. It's like, what's going on?
All I
It's just
need to
it's
know is
odd.
all I know is to need that he's an evil bald guy, and it's like
Yeah.
the thing is, I feel like Remind did a better job expanding on him than whatever this is.
Right, because I mean, the big issue that everyone had was like, okay, they retconned his motivation. His motivation was never what it, what he said it was towards the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. They were trying to make it look like it was justified because during that point in time, a lot of the villains were written in a way where it's like, okay, we need to understand where they're coming from and we need to get sympathy from them. Even then, this sword is just like, nah, I don't.
It's always hit or miss with a lot of these villains. It's Disney villains in general that I've noted that
Yeah,
have the plot
it's like
twist.
the organization members are they have pretty cool dynamics because they have other motives, which makes them interesting or less interesting depending on how you feel about it. But when it comes to Zane or anything, so yeah, they retconned it, and that's what made that ending very uninteresting to me. Cause I kind of liked the fact that he was just like an a-hole. Like he was just a curious a-hole that just wanted to figure out what happened. What happened if he did something calamitous, like spill the world of darkness, and what happened from that.
Honestly, he felt more like, and I'm gonna sound dumb for saying, he felt like Darkseid from DC. Like, I don't care, I just want to mess shit up. Like, I like that.
That's why I was like,
Right.
that's why I kind of like it. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you just want to be a douchebag just to be.
I
But to
mean,
be like,
even like we have characters like Xemnas, right? And for me, I think Xemnas has always been like my personal favorite Kingdom Hearts villain, like main antagonist
Same
that
here.
yeah, same.
and that's because he does find a way to kind of make Sora question his role in the story. He presents certain things out, he lays them out, and he's like, okay, you can do this, but what is that going to bring you? What's the point of doing that when all we want to do is be true, just people, right? And it it shows that he's going about it the wrong way, but at the same time, at no point do they back away, or do they twist it, or do they try to change what his motive is. His motive from day one is something that wouldn't necessarily be considered evil.
It's like if
But
you were
it's his
put in,
approach.
it's like if you were put in a reverse roles, you'd be voted. I mean, you'd be rooting for Xemnas other than Sora, which
Right.
makes a lot of sense. Well, even with Ansem, I agreed with a lot of things he did, mainly because I liked how his character was presented. It was like, yeah, I was evil, but I'm a doctor at the end of the day. Also, I know the shit that people have done at the end of the day.
Right.
Cause I feel like in Kingdom Hearts, when it was like him and Ansem the Wise going at it, there was a part of him like, you're the one who messed that up, not me.
Right. And I mean, he's like, that's the thing about Xemnas and Ansem that just stuck with me, because those two are characters that, like, like Hector said, have always just been more into the curious aspects of life. So they want to figure out these things like this. Sora, and that's why they question them when they try to approach them and try to confront them for doing these things. It's like, you would do the same thing if you were me, if you were in my position. And, with Zane, it's more so just, let's see what happens if I fix something. If I play around and blow shit up or something. And I mean, that's the contrast. And I mean, granted, to some extent, Zane can be considered a little bit of a mustache twirler at times, but to me, I almost see it as what Star Wars does with the Sith. We know that Namora has a lot of it's a lot of influence from Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, in a lot of ways, Xehanort is very much inspired by something that's supposed to represent just pure darkness in the same sense that Sora is supposed to represent, pure light, right?
Yeah.
And that's why when they tried to sort of change it, I was like, iffy. Because I was like, okay, this wasn't the intention, and it kind of comes across as that. It's like, you know, if I see a character like Arden from Final Fantasy 15, you know, he jumps and presents his motivation, and we're able to understand it, it's like, okay, that makes sense.
I feel like though with Arden, we got more development when episode Arden came out, but you can't make an episode Xehanort like you did.
You can't.
Did Remind, which
Yeah,
was
his
like
shift was kind of.
It was jarring.
yeah.
It's like Arden, at least with Arden, we knew that to some extent there was like some stuff there that, you know, we sat there and we knew they were like, okay, he had spoilers for Final Fantasy 15, the game came out in like 2015, 16, sorry. But we knew that, you know, he was backstabbed. He felt betrayed by the gods and whatnot. So it makes sense for him to like do a lot of the things he does. And his motivation is never, oh, I want to do this to the world or do this or do that. It's I want to push Noctis to try to kill me because my whole thing is that I'm immortal, so I want to die, which is crazy. And B, if I can, let's say he fails, I'm just going to be king. And I'm going to just rule over this. And this is going to be my twisted perception of what humanity is. That's something that's stuck to me about that. A comparison to Xehanort, which is another spoilers. It's like,
The reason I give Xehanort kind of a pass, you gotta remember what type of world he's in. He's with Disney, and I feel like back when Disney was just starting, every one of their villains really didn't have a motive except to be evil. Maleficent didn't have a motive until they started making live action movies, which I don't even really consider canon. Cause I'm like, I like evil Maleficent. I like it when she's just a douchebag.
I like that too, which is why the movies are weird. It's weird to make a movie saying, hey, this is why Maleficent is actually just good and everyone's just making it seem like she's evil, just to make a movie where she's evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I really like Xehanort, because he was like a mix of, he was like a Kingdom Hearts character, but he had Disney villain tropes, which kind of like fit with the entire series for me, which is why when they gave him like that motivation, which I guess we're gonna find out with, you know, this expansion. But again, it feels kind of like too little too late, where the Kingdom Hearts series was always good at just filling in the plot, and then boom, you have like the next game where everything fits into the other. Here, just like, you're just gonna like piecemeal it to you,
Like,
because it's in a mobile game.
People wanted answers about why we switched it. This is what it was. Unfortunately, I know they're gonna once again retcon some stuff. That's inevitable when you're doing a prequel like this. It's, I don't know. I mean, the Xehanort saga ended. They said 3 was it.
And then
I'm personally at the point where I want to move on.
yeah, I kind of want a new villain. I want a new everything. But let's kind of move on to this from this topic, because again, we are now doing all type of video games.
Let's go.
So the next thing we're gonna talk about is a pretty big one. The Last of Us and Naughty Dog have not been handling itself perfectly.
I knew it.
We were getting there.
The next one.
We were getting there. And oh boy, Naughty Dog. Look, I know the game's probably gonna do well. That's a thing. Come on now. But man, do y'all not have good PR. You guys are not doing good PR right now. Ooh. Who wanna go first?
Oh, I've had an opinion about this because I've been looking forward to this. Probably, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I know a lot of us looking forward to it. But I was so excited. Out of every game that's coming out this year, I'm so excited for this one. It's like the one I think is the most, because I love the world they created in the first one.
Wait, before you get fully into it, don't hold nothing back, bro.
I just need to say, well, we don't have everything out there. 30 minutes of this game is leaked in bits and pieces, but it's so much of it that's out there. There's fight scenes, there's deaths, there's a whole lot of spoilers out there. I'm just
Don't spoil anything.
I'm not gonna-
Just don't hold back your.
I'm not gonna
I've
spoil
seen it all.
No, Hector, why?
I personally was not emotionally for myself, but it's like when everything in the first.
I didn't got when to.
I saw that, like I said, Last of Us Part 2, it was trending. I checked it, and I was like, oh, the game leaked. And then I'm looking, and I see all these people reacting, and everybody's angry, and it's like, oh wow, they should have got these guys to just write this or something. And it's the people that did Game of Thrones, and I'm like, that's not good. That's season 8 sucked.
We don't talk about season
I'm
8.
looking through, and I'm like, oh my god, what happened? And I, of course, should have stopped scrolling, but I saw a screenshot of a character on the ground, and I see all this blood, and I'm like, oh. Well, I'm just gonna look at the spoilers, and I saw everything. I saw the layout, I saw the story behind it, behind why the leaks happened. And granted, they were debunked, but there's so much just kind of getting out there. Like, this has sort of prompted a lot of people to talk about how Naughty Dog as a company has been treating their employees. And
Yeah, I feel like.
granted, whatever.
Wait, no, sir, you're gonna say my bad. I don't mean to cut
Okay,
you
I
off.
was gonna say, like, whatever anyone's opinion of the story might be, I think it's gonna have some pushback. I do think there's stuff out there, that hasn't been put out there too much that they're keeping under wraps. I just heard recently that the one thing they didn't leak, what we all thought leaked, but didn't actually leak, was the ending. There's like 3, 4, 5 different endings that people are talking about. So that's not even confirmed. That like plot layout that the person threw out there isn't even 100%. Trey Baker himself, voice actor, came out and said that a lot of the things in the game, people think they know what the story is. They think they know the direction that things go, but they don't. And I mean, if anyone knows, it's gonna be the person that's actually on board with the team. I know it sucks. It sucks that.
When do you want to finish your point? Okay.
Internet might have happened for him or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, possibly.
I just died.
Oh, he's back. He's back. Here, just make your last point.
Point is, I was gonna say, it sucks. The whole situation sucks. I'm upset. I'm a little upset with how the story goes. A little disappointed, but more so, I think it sucks in general for anyone's project to get leaked like that. It's never a good thing. And the people that are handling the situation, trying to alleviate tension, quote unquote,
Are causing
they are
more.
making the situation. They're causing more. There's a divide amongst some. Who knows where this is about to go? I know if they plan on doing a part 3, they're gonna have to be a little bit more secretive.
Yeah.
What they're doing next time, so this doesn't happen.
All right.
But like for me, I enjoyed the first game. Like I played through it, and like when it came to the first game's ending, I'm like, I don't agree with what's going on here, and I feel like you're supposed to have that feeling anyways, but that's besides the point. But then we get to everything with The Last of Us Part 2, and like some trailers happen across several years, and like we kind of don't see too much aside from like just a few scenes from with Ellie, a little bit of combat. That's really it. And then basically everything kind of just blows up out of nowhere, and it's just like, okay, so there's like everything. And I was just scrolling through Twitter, and I just ran across one of the like memes that would just like basically spoiled one of the
Was it a golf
things.
club? I was like, if it was a golf club, I'm like that. Negan.
Bro, stop.
But like there was also like I forget what exactly the tweet was, but it was something about like The Last of Us now having a jump button. And I'm like, dog, that's not really anything to be proud of. You know how many games have a jump button in them?
I'm like,
They're
wow.
like, oh my god, you can lead The Last of Us from the creators of the Uncharted series. Bring us the
Jump, bud. Uncharted walks so Last of Us can leap.
When it comes to the whole like treatment of the employees thing, since I'm going to be going into game development at some point, you can imagine how I would feel about that.
Same way I felt about going into the comic industry when I was like 15. I was like, never mind.
Oh, this kind of sucks. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I can't. I wasn't going to say like mainly that. It's just like, I probably would have gotten part 2, but I can live with it. And then it got delayed as well.
It got delayed. Well, it got delayed twice, 3 times, I think. And
2 times.
oh, 2 times.
We're gonna talk about some of the reasons for it too later, but keep going with that.
There were, yeah, it's cool. It got delayed, right? And, you know, the first time it got pushed back a little bit. Like, all right, cool, fine. They need to fix up the anything that's cool. Then these things started surfacing about the team leaving, members that worked on like Uncharted 4 that were working on this game leaving, and apparently like 70% of the people that were, you know, that worked on Uncharted 4 that were on board for this game left, which apparently set development back a whole lot, right? And that I think that was the first warning sign for a lot of people. Because, you know, ever since Amy Hennig ended up leaving, Naughty Dog, I think a lot of things have been sort of all over the place. Like, as much as I love Uncharted 4, that was not the original vision.
Well, just to clarify real quick, the 70% was of Uncharted 4 designers, not the like entire staff.
All right, okay, yeah, designers. But there was just a lot of things coming out over time that just concerned a lot of people. That was a big issue.
Hector, you want to give your thoughts on the situation?
I mean, there's not really much I can say that would be different from everybody else's perception on it. I did see the leaks, and ultimately I was more disappointed in the story direction, and that's what's really making me not want to get the game day one. Because while it looks beautiful, the gameplay that we saw from the recent state of play was phenomenal. As far as like Last of Us gameplay concerns and how much it improved and everything, it's the story direction, and the story is what I'm most attached to regarding that franchise. So the fact that I've seen what I've seen and it doesn't excite me and really, it's just disappointing, to be honest. And I'd rather just confirm what I've seen, or like maybe some playthroughs, and if it's something that I can like tag along with, then I'll buy it. But other than that, I really haven't played this game just because of the story direction, really. But I mean, kudos to everybody that's excited and is still hyped for it and wants to get it, because I hope people really like it, like where it goes. But as for me, I'll pass.
Yeah, it's been a dry month for me when it comes to games, because I only wanted one game and I got it already, which is the SpongeBob game. But other than that, with The Last of Us, I loved the first one, and I loved the direction, and I loved how it went. So I was like, okay, The Last of Us 2 is going to come out, it's going to be a great game. And the thing is, I got really attached to Ellie, so it's like, okay, cool, everything makes sense. Then the leak started happening. I was like, this is. It was like, ooh, we really live in this era where games are just getting leaked left and right. But I was cool at first because I was like, well, maybe this isn't real. Then they started confirming some stuff was real and some wasn't. I was like, that just makes it a whole lot harder to support this because I don't like where it's going. Like everybody else, I don't like the story direction, and I don't like certain characters dying because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Just to introduce certain other characters. Then, like when they were leaking the images of it, I was like, I think I'll wait. Like I'll wait. But
Yeah, it was the leak that really disheartened me.
Yeah.
Because with all the delays and the kind of the controversy surrounding those delays, just really hitting a dent in my hype for it. And then just for it to go from being indefinitely delayed to, oh yeah, we're opening up, we're delivering the game to you guys another month. That was just very suspect for me. I didn't like that at all. It just told me like a lot of like miscommunication was going on within the studio and Sony and all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, it was just for me again. I'm like you, Phantom. I'm just gonna wait.
yeah,
There's really no rush for me. I have a lot of the games I can play anyway, so
yeah.
it is what it is.
What are you saying, one?
What I was thinking about is, obviously, like with the first game, there were a couple of things in there that we didn't know, that we didn't know about going into, especially the ending being the controversial part of that game for a lot of people. A lot of people either hated the ending, a lot of people either liked the ending, or vast majority of people that were just indifferent about it, including myself. And I felt like that, to some extent, could have been the case with this one too.
Yeah,
I think the difference between how we feel about this game because of the direction is the ending, is that we know kind of going into it. So it's like, because we know that everything is kind of weird, I think if we were to kind of just go into we probably still feel iffy about the direction. We probably wouldn't necessarily hate the game.
yeah,
Like how a lot of us do now. But same case for Hector. I like the story. Like majority of the Naughty Dog games, the gameplay's cool and all, but it's the story. It's like watching Christopher Nolan. If the story's shit, I can't. It doesn't work like that.
yeah. We sat for the Dark Knight Returns.
Right.
Yeah, for me that's like 100% because I tried my best to play through Chrono Cross, which everybody's really praises, and the gameplay was good. Just the story was I just didn't enjoy, so I just put it down. And it would be the same if I was playing The Last of Us. Something happened in the story that I saw in the leaks. I couldn't continue it. I just don't like that. I'm just gonna stop.
Yeah,
Also, it's because we're waiting. We know that this is a game, so we're just waiting for this moment. We're not even like playing it and enjoying it the same way we should. We're just playing it and we're like, okay, when does this happen? Okay, that's getting ready to happen. Okay, I've seen that. She's wearing this. They've got this on. All right, this is gonna happen.
legit.
Yeah.
Unless they add like a customization feature to Ellie, but I don't think so. Like, how are you gonna customize in the apocalypse? But that's beyond the point. All I know is that I'm not getting it right away. I want to see what happens. I don't like how Naughty Dog handles APR. Like, come on now, y'all could have damage controlled a lot better. Like, the most they said was that quote unquote people who aren't fans of the game just want to ruin it for everyone else. That's what they said
Which is
basically in
true.
the tweet, which is true.
Yeah, that's true.
But
there's a very very hostile community and toxic community towards The Last of Us because of all of its success.
yeah, and like they don't like different characters. Let's face it, most of the people who complain are people who don't like characters that are different, like orientations and gender and all that stuff. So they're gonna have a problem with it.
It's just people that haven't even played the game.
Yeah.
Right. There was this huge assumption going on about one of the characters that oh, this character's trans. Like, they're not. They're just muscular.
They can't really do much in the apocalypse again. Like what I said, they're not gonna sit there and do their makeup in the apocalypse, okay?
Oh yeah, that false narrative that came around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, this is them.
And even, and I always said, I was like, even if the character is, so what? Like, it's not affecting the story.
Right, and it's like,
It's really not.
It's crazy when people automatically assume that someone's pushing it. They're showing they're representing a person that already exists.
Yeah.
That's not pushing an agenda. That's just representation.
Yeah, I'm like,
It's just how media is.
I'm like, there's other people besides straight white people. I'm sorry, like there are. But
What's funny is when people say that they're pushing this, when they're pushing like this kind of character type or anything like that, when it's that person's chosen, it's that person's choice to engage in entertainment, to engage in the show
Yeah.
or the game or whatever. So it's like if like the vendor's name that you're pushing is, I'm like, no, you chose to actually play this
you
game or
spend
watch the
$60.
show.
you spend $60. You spend 60 minutes of your time looking at this. Don't act like you didn't want to look.
Yeah, it's that confuses me, but it's, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
it
let's.
is what it is. That game's gonna send 10 million easy.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Now, this one's kind of a broad and bigger topic. COVID-19 and the effects.
Wasn't expecting that.
Hold up. We're not going to talk about the virus. We're going to talk about the things that were affected on the industry. Because there was a lot of games and stuff that got super affected. We were going to talk about games that have already come out and how they were affected and how it affected our experiences. One experience I kind of want to recall for myself, and Hector was there when it happened, was the Final Fantasy VII debacle. I remember I pre-ordered the game back in January, the special edition. And I was super worried GameStop wasn't going to do anything for me for it. I remember I called Hector in a frantic frenzy. I was like, I already bought the game, but I want to buy this. And I already have the money. Here's Hector. He had to calm my ass down. Like, bro, if you got the money, just buy the digital version. Because we were all quarantined in the house.
Yep. I don't think anybody got out and got a physical copy. That was rare. That's gonna be rare now.
Yeah, people probably delivered it.
I kept my tabs on that game hard. I scoured for that game. I even learned that they're selling it early at Best Buy like 2 days before Street Day, so I just went over and got one. And as well as my deluxe edition I got on the actual release day. But yeah, it was kind of just ridiculous at how much you had to keep track of it. But I mean,
Yeah.
that was when the world wasn't in the panic about COVID-19, how it affected everything, and you know how are we gonna shift the status quo for certain things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean now that everything seems it's pretty calm right now. Now we know what to do. But yeah, it was kind of just insane at that point. Even during PAX East, when we went to PAX East in Boston this year, people were still kind of chill about it. There was a couple people wearing masks, but no, everybody was just really like laid back. And I think because also Boston at that time wasn't much of a place that was hard hitting it. It's like New York or anywhere else.
And one more thing, moving forward, just in case YouTube like to demonetize or like move this video somehow, we're gonna just call it Geothigma from now on, because that's what I was calling it.
Oh no.
Yep, I was calling.
I think they laid back on that
Yeah,
YouTube. I'm not sure.
You're actually able to mention it in videos.
Okay, because I was like, I've been calling it Geothigma for the past 6 months, so.
The T virus.
Legit, yep, people.
No, the C virus. That's what we have to call it.
But,
It is, though. So what you gonna say,
when it
Frozen?
comes to me having to deal with like buying games and junk, like I basically have to get any game I wanted digitally because like, or at least most of the games. Because when it came to Persona 5 Royal, I got that digitally, and then I didn't get FF7 Remake for like a month until like 2 weeks ago, and I got that digitally as well, and I didn't really mind that as much, mainly because like. I can wait on it, and then like I saw I saw the Gaga stuff appearing on Twitter. I'm like, Zach has to be relevant in the remake, otherwise this would not be here at all.
Yeah.
So
Zach. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Don't worry, we're talking about it. We're just gonna. I'm just
Are
trying
we?
to. Yeah, I'm just going. I'm slowly transitioning into games we'll play later, but we do have topics to worry about.
Oh God.
But yeah, COVID-19 canceled E3. That's usually our
That's a
date.
lot, man.
Yeah, it went. It was like whew, everything
Dog.
you care about is gone.
Don't we
For
have
me-
like separate? Oh, I'm sorry.
For me, I had like, there was this like game convention that is held in my college like every year, and like every year you're able to like, well, if you pay like extra money, you're able to like hear like a voice actor and like see them in person and all that. And last year I like met David Hayter, who is the voice of Solid Snake. So.
Oh, boss, that's cool.
And this year, I could, emphasis on could, have met Tara Strong, and that would have done really good for my channel considering how many voices she's done. So,
Man, this boy's on the slip for the
so I was just like, I'm angry. COVID-19 destroyed that opportunity.
Bro, I had like multiple conventions to go to. Couldn't go to them. And then me and my friend, like, we had like game night and everything planned. Then guess what? Oh, you can't go to people's houses. We were just legit like, damn. Right when we make friends. And then
Yeah,
eat.
it was not fun to see all those cancellations. I was even debating going to E3 this year with the Lord2Gaming.net crew. Do some coverage over there, get some contacts, and that's all just got squashed, unfortunately.
I felt like we just wasn't expecting it. We
A
just
friend of
wasn't.
mine also wanted to go to like a bunch of what is it, like fighting game stuff. Like I think I'm not sure of like all of the dates, so some of these might not even be correct. But like Combo Breaker, I think Frosty Flottings, I think that's the name of it. That was another one. Evo was now all just online, which is
That's about to
its
be.
own travesty in itself.
Oh, trust me, I made a video about that. That's supposed to be going up today, but I wanted to record the podcast. This is ridiculous. Shit. I was supposed to go to any manga that got canceled, and I was supposed to meet. Like, I had the deluxe thing, so I was gonna meet voice actors too. Can't do that. I was gonna meet the voice actors for 2B, so I was really happy about that. Then I was like, hold up.
Kira.
Yeah, she was going to any manga. Then I was gonna meet the voice actor for the blonde dude from Sword Art Online. I can't remember his name. Bunch of other people got canceled. Then I was like, E3, you know, that's the time when usually all of us meet together in some way, shape, or form. Can't do that. Evo couldn't do that when it was built online. I was like, oh no, they about to mess this whole thing up. Cause the games they have terrible netcode. So I'm like, oh.
Actually, the stuff they're doing for Evo, that was probably the best thing could have ever happened to Evo.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, to kind of restructure the what do they call it? The games that are included in Evo.
Yeah. I'm cool with the
Those are
games.
good
I just,
online.
I'm cool with the games
All of them are
now.
great online.
I'm good with the
Evo,
games
they had
now.
They had
Specifically, but the other ones that
Yeah.
were just in like the regular Evo lineup did
Had terrible.
most of them didn't.
Yeah, which is why like I think it's great for Evo in itself to kind of like give a boot in the ass to these developers to go with better online.
That rollback netcode is open. It's
Yeah,
open for
'cause
everybody.
now their game is not featured in one of the biggest fighting tournaments of the year, and they're feeling it hard, especially Nintendo with Super Smash Bros. That had trash online for years.
Legit.
Now hopefully this makes them think twice about having bad online when it comes to their games.
Yeah.
And like, while I do appreciate that opportunity, we also have to keep in mind it took a global pandemic for that to happen.
Legit. It took.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Kind of
that's the same thing with what's going on with the protests. So
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later. Not at now. But
but it's getting weird how there's
Yeah.
Anyway, so
It's just like, what else did it have effect on the industry? Games getting delayed, but some games I'm okay with. Like Final Fantasy VII got delayed, I was like, it's only a couple months. And then when it got delayed again, I was like, it's only a couple weeks, and they're doing it for a good cause.
Right.
And then it was like other games, like I think did the Last of Us get delayed because of the pandemic or just because they were being lazy?
they got delayed indefinitely because of the pandemic.
So I
Yeah,
can't be
it was supposed to
super mad
release
at that.
when
It was a
Xenoblade
mixture.
Chronicles released.
See, we can't be super mad at that because it was the pandemic. Like a lot of the stuff the pandemic did, while it was terrible, it had a silver lining to it.
Definitely.
Okay, and definitely I can't. The amount of time,
Last of Us
It
is a
was the
little bit of an
quotas
iffy issue.
Yeah.
Everything else,
everything else had.
Based on what a couple of employees said, it was quote unquote the pandemic and not what was happening.
Quote
Like,
unquote.
they were just a few months away from release at that point, and when you're, at least from what I understand from some game development, obviously you're crunching to like the last actual day for maybe like a day one patch or something, but like you're putting that game on a disc and shipping out within a month.
Right. Also,
Yeah.
it didn't help. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like so at least they had like another month development left to delay it indefinitely. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also didn't help that it took for them to get their game to leak, for them to actually put a release date in for the game, which kind of goes to show it's like, all right, you could have just pushed back a month and then you could have,
Yeah.
really tried to push for the game to come out. But it's the fact that they were like, oh, our game's getting leaked now. We can't just halt development. We have to actually finish this up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, that's a little sketchy, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just underestimated how many people are actually going to buy the game physically or digitally, and it really didn't matter.
Yeah, because I was just trying to look for the positive on that situation. There's none apparently, because everything I mentioned somehow has a silver lining to it.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I'm like, but what about this? And you guys bring up straight up facts, and I'm like, I can't debate that. I can't try to make that happen. Like, there's no way to. I was like, how can I can't. I was like, look at them on a Saturday afternoon bringing up straight up facts. And
Listen, man, this whole thing is just like a crazy situation in itself.
yeah,
There's just a lot of controversies going on. There's a lot of hypocrisy of, some companies just getting ousted. The fact that, oh, we can't do it this way. Well, look, when you're forced to, you definitely can. So you're just being lazy.
yeah.
So there's just a lot of weird stuff going on this year that definitely. COVID was a blessing and
A curse.
this year for sure.
The one thing I didn't like about this, and this is off topic, I hated online school so bad. That's when I realized, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm taking physical classes, cause like, you know how hard it is, like taking an acting class online.
That's why I'm not.
The teacher
is uncertain right now.
The teacher legit told us, turn on your camera so we can watch you stretch. I was like, hold up, huh? This ain't it, Chief.
I'm not doing Shakespeare over.
Crappy
camera.
All of the classes more like basically quote unquote digital anyways because I'm in game development and all that, and like I didn't have to do anything like drawing wise, or even if I did, I could just take a picture of it and then just submit it online or anything like that. And like one of my classes said like, okay, due to the whole COVID thing, you don't have to worry about like anything else in the class. So I was just like, thank goodness we don't have to deal with that as well. And then like whenever it came to any like calls, it was like, okay, we don't need to see your face as long as you're just here, it's fine.
Nah, they made us show our face. My acting teacher legit made us show our face. I remember one time I texted my girl, I was like, look, just tell them I'm not feeling good, okay? Didn't go to class that day because I didn't want to show my face. I had a full grown beard. I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that today.
I was about to ask you, man, what kind of stretches were you doing?
Nah, they didn't want us to do those weird ass ones that for acting. So it's like, here, put your hand over your head. I was like, what the hell?
It's
That's
kind
all
of
you
difficult
do.
to do like the regular warm-ups that you would do on a stage when
Yeah,
you're
when
in
you.
the room. It's like,
And then it's like every time she told turn your camera on, she's like, "Oh, you guys have very busy backgrounds." Like, no shit, I'm a weeb. I'm like, of course I'm gonna have comic book and anime posters in the back of my house. Like, that's the
I didn't
thing.
want everybody to see my anime background.
One dude, let me tell you, this dude put a Chick-fil-A in the background of his thing so nobody could see his room.
Dog.
One man had Chick-fil-A and one man was made a Jack in the Box drive through his background on Zoom. That shit was perfect. We got off topic real quick, but next topic. The Xbox Series X is supposedly doing a lot better than the PS5 right about now.
In
And
terms of marketing, push,
yeah, and
yes.
thank you. Thank you for explaining that. But go ahead, Hector, because he has a lot more information on this.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, Xbox Series X and Microsoft revealed all the specs for Xbox Series X, and just recently they had the Inside Xbox showcase that showed a little bit of third-party support. That seemed to have disappointed a lot of people, but obviously gained some traction when it came to third-party support and diversity, I guess you can say, or variety rather, when it came to the kind of games that are coming to it. But it didn't really showcase like what next gen what could make you excited for next gen, and at least not until the Unreal Engine 5 demo that was showcased on the PlayStation 5, according to the Epic developers and publishers, I guess. They're publishers, right? Epic publishers.
I think they are.
Yeah, so besides the point, they showcase what next gen could possibly look like, and or at least what the goal is for these next generation consoles. And it looks great from what we were seeing, at least from what we've seen on the actual demo showcase. But from all case and points, PlayStation 5 hasn't really did a lot of traction when it comes to showing off the PS5, and really from reports, it seemed like there was like a couple of development troubles when it came to it. All they really shown us was the official controller, which has more of a different kind of design to it. It's a little more bulky, because some people say that it looks like an Xbox controller, and it actually has more of a white tone to it with a little bit of black in there, as opposed to an all black color that we would normally see with the PlayStation console. And discerning from the likes that are on YouTube and Instagram, it seems like the PlayStation is definitely more popular when it comes to these reveals, as opposed to Xbox, where it does have some momentum on social media for sure, but the hype for PS5 is a little bit more have an impact than Xbox Series X. But regardless, Xbox is definitely getting a lot of traction and a lot of eyes on it. So right now it's kind of in a weird situation where PlayStation 5, it's there and people are super excited for it, and they want to see what games are coming, what next gen will look like, and the exclusive and all that. The Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, but Xbox Series X has a lot to prove, and Microsoft has a lot to prove. So their push is definitely going to be a lot more. It's going to be a lot harder, and it's going to be a lot more impactful, I feel.
Yeah.
And either way, it's going to be exciting come November, October of this year, as far as what these consoles are going to do, and what different what's the word I'm looking for? Different ideas or ideologies are going for, especially since the Xbox Series X is going to definitely focus on backwards compatibility and Xbox Game Pass, and how you can basically carry over your entire library into the next gen, while PS5 seems to be focusing more on new experiences and what only PlayStation 5 can bring.
Yeah. Anybody else's thought? Because I usually give mine last.
When it comes to like the graphics mainly, I remember like on the initial like Scarlet reveal for the Xbox Series X, or whichever one it was. I think it was just a Scarlet at the time, but they were talking about a higher resolution and the frame rate being a lot higher, and during then I was just like, I kind of don't believe that, because they were kind of just saying a lot of that and not showing any of that at the time. I forget which E3 it was. It was probably like
Where the Scarlet was
maybe
revealed? The Scarlet was revealed, I think, last year. So yeah, it might be 2019 probably.
It was either 19 or 18, but regardless. When it comes to like graphics, I normally don't care too much. As long as it looks at least good enough, then it's fine. But for me, it's gonna take a good amount to like really impress me when it comes to like the PS5 or like anything past like PS4 and Xbox One. Mainly because of Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I've been playing that now, and I'm like, this actually looks like the best. This is like the best game graphically on PS4. I know it's like really late into its cycle, but I do still feel like it's going to take a lot on the further consoles to impress me personally, because like aside from like KH3 and FF7 Remake, I haven't really been like, yo, this looks actually amazing. And like,
Yeah.
Right.
when it comes to KH3, sure, I have like at least a little bit of bias there, because like just Kingdom Hearts fan in general. But I don't play the Final Fantasy games that often, and
Yeah.
like in Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, yo, this looks astounding. And there was like one CGI scene like in there, and I was just like, I had to do a double take, and I was like, wait, is this CGI? Because for a second, I'm like, I actually kind of can't tell if it's CGI or not,
Right.
which is godlike, because like, and it's just like Square, whenever it comes to CGI in general, it's great.
Yeah.
But like the fact that their in-game stuff looks almost just as good as their CGI is just, it's amazing.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, I think there's like 4 pre-rendered cutscenes. There's one at the beginning, there's one for the collapse, there's one for the
When you go
the
inside that,
flashback sequence.
when you go inside the Shinra building, there's that
Yeah,
one
there's
where
the
it's
Shinra
explaining
one.
the ancients.
And then there's the one towards the end.
Yeah.
There's like 4. And they all look pretty close to the actual like game, which I think kind of goes to show like how good it looks. Because
Yeah.
I had to like stop at times, because there's just moments where you like have to take in everything, and it's like, wow, this is what this looks like now. Like, we're at this point where
Yeah.
games look like Advent Children, which is a movie that came out like a long time ago, but it looks like that, if not better.
Yeah.
At times. And it's like, wow.
I remember showing like my sister, like she barely plays video games. The most she'll play is The Sims, and I showing her like all the like pre-render stuff for Final Fantasy VII. She was more hyped than me half the time because she liked how it looked. Like, she liked that they look like people you can see, literally strands of hair or tears or sweat. Like Cloud got tired, he got dirty, and that was the thing. So I'm like,
Yeah, to me it looks better than Avid Children by a long shot.
So I'm like, if this is what the pinnacle of the PS4 can do, the PS5, Xbox, Scarlet or Series X or whatever, they have to come in hard. Like, that can't be something that happens at the end. That has to be your beginning game. And by the end of that life cycle, niggas better look real. And excuse my language. Yeah, they better look real.
Yeah, I mean that's why the Unreal Engine 4 or Unreal Engine 5 demo rather looked really impressive, because it looked good, and I think it was more like an emphasis on like the environment itself, because we say Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the Square's best games, and it definitely is, but when it comes to character models, it's phenomenal. When it comes to environments, some of it is hit and miss.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the actual like the background image that looked really flat, and
Yeah.
if you looked at it, you would be like, ugh. For Unreal Engine 5, since it wants to definitely rectify that and make everything look amazing and have it all seamless and fluid and just better than ever before.
I believe I said it in my review. My one problem with the game was, of course, the level design. But hey, that's me. Another game I feel like doesn't get a lot of credit. Sorry, my bad. I just want to say this now. I don't want to say this now before, because I'm letting Hector take it through. Another game that looks great to me, but mainly because of the suit design, is Spider-Man. That does it really well too. Mainly because you
Oh
can
yeah.
tell, you can look at the suits and everything. You see the little details and nuances. But yeah, go ahead, Hector. My bad. I'm so sorry.
No, no, you're good. No, that's a great point. That the suit design of the Spider-Man on PS4 is one of the best character models I've ever seen since the Final Fantasy VII remake. It's phenomenal. So yeah, to kind of have that carry over into the next generation is exciting. But yeah, I think it's mostly just down to how games play is what is going to be more exciting, with less loading times, an environment where if that's just fully seamless and everything is loaded in super quickly. I think that's going to be more exciting than anything else, really.
Yeah.
And the fact that a lot of what the developer said was that for anyone that's working on Unreal Engine 4, it's going to be a seamless transition to Unreal Engine 5. That's just going to make the games better. So.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the most exciting parts. But going back to the PS5 with our next topic, is backwards compatibility maybe a thing for the PS5, but it may be delayed. So, I want to hear you guys' thoughts, like about backwards compatibility and how it works, and what games, like systems, do you think they should do, and what limitation you think they may have. So, anyone want to take the floor here?
When it comes to me, I feel like at the very least they should go back to PS3 when it comes to backwards compatibility, because sure, a lot of PS3 games would also have moved over to PS4 and they're just gonna have PS4 compatibility anyways, but there are still at least some PS3 titles that like you're not able to have on like PS5, well, PS4 or PS5 without it being PS Now, which is sometimes one of the worst services ever.
I feel you.
Because like the best way to play like most of the Jack games and the Sly Cooper games are, well, with the most current gen like consoles is like PS3. Unless you like either, for Sly you have to get it through PS Now on PS4, which is terrible from what I've heard. And
it's hard.
when it was on PS4 for Jack and Daxter, like most of the games ran terribly aside from Jack X.
That's horrible. I was actually thinking about going back and playing those games too.
Like I think they fixed it, but it like the PS3 versions, from my current knowledge, I might still be a little bit wrong on some things, but like the PS3 version is still like the best version of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I might as well just pick up those old copies and play them back.
I do have an old PS3 somewhere. I gotta find it.
And oddly enough, Jack X is perfectly fine from my experience. Like, Jack X runs fine, but like it's the other 3 games that have an issue for some reason.
Is that how you're streaming those games, or are you just going back to the old copies and playing those?
No, I'm not like streaming the other games. I go with the PS3 version because when I did Let's Plays for the Jack and Daxter games, or at least most of them, 1, 2, and 3 was on PS3, and then X was on PS4.
Okay.
I really
That's how you're
thought you
streaming
had...
Sly Cooper.
Oh, that was on
Some time ago.
PS3 as well.
I literally thought you were using a PS2. I'm sorry, I thought...
Hey, classic.
Yeah, I thought you had like the classic going on. Hector,
Yeah,
when? Who
those
was it?
copies, but they're like still like $30-40 on eBay. I'm just like,
That's
I don't
ridiculous.
know.
Hector, when? Which one of you guys want to take the floor on the backwards compatibility? Go ahead. Either one. Go ahead.
I mean, well, backwards compatibility, it's either here, neither here nor there for me, because it's not like I don't keep my systems. And if I do really want to go back and play those games, I have no problem forking over some money just to pick them up at a game store nearby or whatever the case may be. So for me, it doesn't really matter to me when it comes to backwards compatibility. I do like that, having that access to it, but I'm also getting a PC soon.
Yeah, so soon you got that access all the time.
Yeah, having gaming PC, you basically have anything at the whims of your fingers, so for me it doesn't matter.
Alright, what's your thoughts?
personally, I would love for them to have backwards compatibility. You know, if something isn't just PS4 or the PlayStation 3, I'd actually like to go back and play some of the games on PlayStation 2, because big issue with as Frozen pointed out, PlayStation Now is an okay, a very okay service when it wants to work. But the issue is that they're doing streaming games. That's not 100% when your streaming service itself sucks. I mean, in terms of the actual
selection,
being able to download games, the selection's decent.
Yeah, the selection's great.
It's good, but it's just it has that one thing holding it back. And if they want to evolve that and say, hey, that's backwards compatibility, and then you can download games and play stuff on the PlayStation 2, and it runs well, cool. I'm fine with that. But I don't know. It's just in terms of backwards compatibility, it would be a lot more convenient if they did that. But it's not gonna make or break the system for me personally.
It would be kind of nuts if they brought Xbox Game Pass onto PlayStation.
That means you getting really.
That'd be nuts.
I'd be down to see that though. That'd be interesting.
They're bringing it to Samsung TV, so
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's definitely it's something not gonna happen. These places is stubborn. They want to compete, so they're gonna find some way to compete for next gen when it comes to backwards compatibility. Because I think they more than anything understand that it's definitely a contributor to someone's purchase decision. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be nuts if Xbox Game Pass actually came to PlayStation. That would be pretty cool.
I guess my one thoughts on it, again, I usually buy the classic games when they're available. Like, I have all the GTAs on my PS4, and then I have the PS2 versions of those games. Those aren't open because I'm like collector's value. Same goes with like Kingdom Hearts and all that stuff. I may have it digitally, but I'm gonna have the normal like PS2 versions everywhere. Then Hector, of course, and I have to say this, blessed me with all the Persona games. Except for 4, but I already had those, but yeah, he blessed me with all the Persona and stuff, so I'm like, okay. Backward compatibility, yeah, it's needed, but I have the, and I'm sorry if you hear a giant ass truck, but I have most of the classic games that I actually played when I was a kid, like Sly Cooper and all that. I have the PS2 version.
Mistake of not keeping those.
Only reason I kept them because my mom doesn't like selling stuff, so it's like I.
Selling those, I should have just like games are so good.
While backward compatibility is right, I want them to do it right, like how Xbox did theirs, where you could just put in a random disc and it'll play it. That's what I kind of want. But if we don't get it that way, I'm cool. Because I'm like, it's not, as Win said, it's not making or breaking the console. Because again, like, to be honest, I only want backward compatibility for the PS3 just to play Final Fantasy 13 again.
Same here, man. Same here.
Those are
right, because like the PC version is like still like not that good from what I remember.
It's like,
I was actually talking about it to a friend a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to just dive into the PC game as well, just to replay that trilogy.
yeah.
And my friend was telling me that those versions are just not good.
From what I'm hearing, Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns works, but everything else is kind of eh. And I'm like, Lightning Returns is kind of my favorite, but at the same time, I like the first one and the second one.
Yeah, that's the one trilogy I was hoping would get like a remaster.
Yeah.
Release of some sort, but it's really pull the trigger on it.
I guess they saw like people's reaction, but I was like, not everybody hated the game.
Oh, the game's good, man. The game's real good. The music is phenomenal.
Yeah, I use that pretty much for most of my videos. So we have 2 last topics before we end it off. Well, 3, 4, but we can get through these kind of fast. Go to Tsushima. Anybody got hypes for this game? Because it's coming out soon. Very soon.
I have been hyped. The only issues that I was initially very reluctant to be excited about it, which sounds odd, but you remember when, during E3, we saw that they were revealing that there was going to Nioh 2. There was Sekiro, and then there was Ghost of Tsushima. And Ghost of Tsushima was the one where I was like, I don't care about this. Then they released a story trailer, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. So to oversimplify what the game is, it's basically an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan. Which, by the way,
what we've been asking for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, one in China. But sorry guys, my Twitch went off. But we had one in China, but it wasn't really set up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. It was. I think the biggest issue is it was a side scroller, and they needed to do like a full scale Assassin's Creed game in that area. The point is, this is the point. Ghost of Tsushima. It seems interesting. It definitely has my eye. It especially definitely caught my attention after all the stuff with The Last of Us happened, and seeing what the direction of they're headed with the gameplay, seeing that Sucker Punch's hold, they're doing this. I'm getting some Game of the Year kind of vibes from it, which is a bold statement. But I'm saying just for a nominee, I'm getting that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But of course, Cyberpunk is coming out later on this year, so
yeah.
There's also that.
And then like Final Fantasy VII.
If it comes out.
Especially with some of the enhancements you can do. But anyone else's?
Stop it, man.
I know. I skipped it. I stopped. Next person who will talk about Ghost of Tsushima.
You bestie.
I know. I'm terrible. So Frozen, you want to talk about Ghost of Tsushima?
I haven't exactly had like the biggest interest in it. Like, if I just have the extra money, I might end up getting it. The main issue is it's also coming out the same day as the new Paper Mario game, and I have interest in that. So I'm like more than likely going to spend money on the new Paper Mario that comes out because that actually does look interesting to me as compared to like the previous two Paper Mario games. And hopefully it's a relative return to form when it comes to that series, because I do enjoy that series a decent amount, and the previous two games, especially Sticker Star, did not do that series justice, so hopefully this works out.
And Hector, you're the last one. What's your thought to Ghost of Tsushima?
They're a bit on par with Frozen's, where I wasn't really super interested in it because samurai games aren't really kind of my niche. Sekiro I really liked though. I thought that was a lot of fun. And then when it came to Ghost of Tsushima, I started to get really more interested when I rewatched like a compilation of all the trailers, and then I saw the state of play, and I'm kind of in for it actually. I'm definitely gonna see if I can pick it up day one, and we'll see how it goes. When it comes with money wise and all that stuff, but it looks really cool. I think one of the more interesting parts about it is its exploration, which is one of my main favorite things about video games, is exploring a new world or a realized world. And I think what they're doing with like the navigation when it comes to letting natural elements guide you to your specific objectives is really creative and something really down for. So I'm interested in it. I can't wait to see what else is going to come from it.
All right. So we got through that pretty fast. What was the last one we need to do? Oh yeah, this one goes back to Kingdom Hearts. There's rumors of a Kingdom Hearts TV show being in development. Now, this has been going on for a while when it comes to this rumor, because you gotta remember, we did have a canceled one back in 2002, I believe. That was just gonna retell the events of the first game.
Yeah,
but
there's storyboards on it, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of them. I actually have them because I made a video for it. But generally, would you guys want to see a Kingdom Hearts series, and what would you guys want it to be about? And the floor goes to anybody who wants to take it up.
Xehanort should have been a TV show. I'm sorry, instead of a mobile game.
That would have been a cool mini-series.
We're gonna go full circle. I would have loved to have seen a series
Yeah.
and then just have it focus on the relationship between Ericus and Xehanort. I mean, something that fleshes it out, that can flesh it out more than just being like, oh, okay, here's this unrelated thing that might happen, sort of, or this or that. And I mean, even if they wanted to, they could have done like Key. I just would have wanted to see an animation of something that is key to the story, but wasn't really done justice by its game.
Yeah.
Such as those two. I don't know what else they can actually try to do. I mean, they can do some stuff after, post Cage 3, but that's a little up in the air at the moment because of what happens in Remodel. So,
Yeah. I guess we're at a really weird crossroad.
yeah.
Frozen, you want to take the floor? You guys know I usually give my opinion last, so.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like, something that could easily just be non-canon that I feel like they could just have fun with, it's just a bunch of what-if scenarios. Like, what if Kyrie went to Castle Oblivion or something like that? What if, or we could see, like, more situations where Roxas is with the organization in certain Disney worlds. Like, it'd be interesting to see those, like, actually play out or stuff like that. Just a bunch of what-if scenarios that aren't canon at all, so that they don't really have to focus on that. Because it'd be nice to have at least one piece of media from Kingdom Hearts that is not completely canon to the story, but...
Besides that Kingdom Hearts V-Chat game.
Oh yeah, VCast.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about VCast.
Hector, what are your thoughts? What would you want if they did do a Kingdom Hearts series? Like, what would you exactly want?
Well, if the mobile game didn't exist, I would have liked something on that. I think that would have been like a cool 2 to 3 season series, or even ongoing series, rather than just like a game itself.
Yeah.
I think that would have been cool, but coming off of what Frozen was saying about something that's not canon, and then something I actually like a lot more, is is something similar to Star Wars, the Clone Wars series, where they have like different arcs within the season. I think it'd been really cool if we had like these non-canon stories about Keyblade wielders that could even be like in the era of the Keyblade War in the mobile game, that just focus on 1 or 2 Keyblade wielders going throughout different Disney worlds, and have that be like a 4 or 5 episode arc, and have like 20 episodes per season. I think that could have been cool, because we got like different kind of Disney worlds, like Pocahontas or the Sword and Stone, whatever, any kind of like these Disney worlds that weren't highlighted before but can be in this TV show with these different Keyblade wielders.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool.
With me, I, again, like everybody's been saying, I wanted a Union Cross show. Like, that'd be sort of like a Disney Game of Thrones or whatever. Or if that doesn't work, then, you know how they had a Mickey Mouse cartoon shorts? Because I've been looking at a lot of those because of Disney Plus. Do something like that where it's just random cartoony situations. Like, Kingdom Hearts, it may be a dark and serious series, but it doesn't take itself serious all the time. So I'm like, why can't we just get like a little something that's just funny for once? Because we've never really had that.
Cool.
We never
That'd be
really
cool,
had
like the shorts instead of like entire like episodes or something like that.
Yeah. And then like you can just take it from the Keyblade wielders. Like just cut out the end in the Kingdom Hearts 3 and just have like everybody doing goofy shit together. Like just weird combinations of people. I don't know, have Roxas and Riku have a conversation or stuff like that. But I don't know, I just wanted something like just a little bit more on the funner side, because we don't have a lot of those for Kingdom Hearts. And that's kind of weird coming from a Disney series.
Yeah, or even they could have, if they were going to do a series, it would just be a retelling of the series and have it kind of like in the same vein as, I think it was Everglow that did it. It did like the timeline series. It basically just put all the cutscenes in a different way and actually told like a pretty coherent story from there.
Yeah.
They could have done it like that too. Well, they just had like, here's the Birth by Sleep arc, here is the Coded arc, here's Cage 2 arc, all that jazz.
Yeah, game that didn't get the recognition they deserved. Um, yeah, we're about done with all that, and last thing I want to talk about is the PS5 being delayed because it kind of goes into a very serious topic. And again, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. Just we all shown our support for like what happened recently with all the protests and all that. I'm pretty sure I've seen everybody show their support. Hector showed his support. Frozen showed his support. Both of you guys, I mean, I'm pretty sure all three of you guys donated, right? Or made some type of contribution.
Yeah, I've been
Oh,
actually using some of the money from VO and stuff to donate towards like different charities and stuff, and that's been nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the situation shouldn't be a thing right now. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm just upset with like a lot of the police brutality going on.
And I know it's not a gaming
Yeah,
topic, but
it's
it
disgusting to see it.
it's not a gaming topic, but it does affect us. Everybody in here is a minority at the end of the day, and it like as much as we can have fun, like we did have fun and all that, but sometimes we do have to go into these more serious topics because again, it affects our outside world. And the bad thing is, usually we get away. I mean, we go to social media to get away from it, but now it's very rampant, and we just want to say our piece. And the one thing I have to say is that I'm very proud of a lot of gaming companies, a lot of companies in general, for showing their support for what's going on right now. It's hectic, man. This world is crazy right now, and I just want to address it and say like it's okay for everybody to feel some type of way because it's a human reaction, and it like we just went through COVID, we went through, and we're going through the riots right now, and that's just generally crazy. So, I mean, if anyone wants to say anything in particular or just give your words of wisdom or experience through this all, I wouldn't mind hearing it.
Yeah, I'll start it off because it's a pretty heavy topic that I've been really involved in since the protests began, and obviously I work for a news site, so this kind of stuff is I have to be informed about it and I have to see what's going on, see both sides, and do the best I can to report on it. And it's just disheartening. It's like after COVID and kind of just being in a quarantine and really self-evaluating, seeing where the world can go from here, to have like this kind of be thrown in our face. It's hard, but it's an issue that needs to be talked about and it needs to have its moment. And it actually needs to have the entire world focused on it forever at this point because it needs to be addressed. And I don't care what anybody says when it comes to equality and when it comes to treating people with respect and at least treating each race with respect and the same kind of equal nature that you would onto your own race or onto your own kind of people. That's not up for debate. There's no politics being played here. That's a humane right. And for me, it's like if you want to debate with me whether a group of people should be treated a certain way because of their skin color, then you're immediately getting on my block list. I just don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be associated with you.
Mm-hmm. Frozen, do you have anything you want to say, or are you just not feeling it?
For at least most of the companies that like put out some form of like awareness thing for all the protests and everything, there are particular ones that are like, okay, I can actually accept these because like whenever like stuff like this happens in like Pride Month, a lot of them typically aren't like actually like caring about it. They're just doing it to save face. But like PlayStation, I feel they're doing it legitimately. Nickelodeon especially is doing it legitimately. Now, I'll be fair. Nickelodeon has a lot of skeletons in its closet, but when it comes to this, I'm like, okay, I will allow this because this is fine. But like, yeah, for some of the companies that are just like actually in support of this, cool. And then there's some there's some places that I'm like, okay, we now have to like, well, my family's like, yeah, we have to like boycott this now because they like supported like Trump's campaign or whatever. So it's like, what can I not go to now? Wendy's is one of them. Chick-fil-A is another. I think Taco Bell's one, which sucks because I like Taco Bell. I like all of those places, but yeah, I can't go to those now. But there's a good amount of other places.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dope. I can't go to any of these places.
Yeah. When do you have anything you want to say, or are you just not feeling in the mood right now for it?
Yeah, I'll give you that. You know, as we all know, this is a really difficult time, right?
Yeah.
It's been this way. It's just becoming a lot more apparent to a lot of people. It's definitely showing its true colors right now in the country. People that are currently in quote-unquote charge of it. And just the system that's being used against so many minorities. Best thing I can say is to support other people. Support people that are going through a lot of stuff at this time. Support some of the families affected by police brutality. Try to donate what you can to certain not companies, but black-owned companies, charities. Just give what you can to people that are having a lot taken away from them. That's pretty much what I can say at the moment. Just find ways to support it. That's it.
Yeah. And all I really gotta say is again, yeah, it's a hectic time. I know this goes from like good to bad, and that's just how things are. But we have to address it because it does affect our outside. It affects all of us in some way, shape, or form. But it's like the majority of this pot. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure all of us are either black or Latino. So like, we had to give out our thoughts. And the last topic is a bit on a lighter note. Um, and it's a more personal one. So, what have you guys been playing lately? And what are some games that you've invested your time in and want to talk about? It can be old games or new games. So,
I've been playing The Evil Within 2. I just went through and replayed the first one, and I haven't played the first one in a minute, but I kind of went back and replayed it, and there's a lot of things that don't hold up in the best way. But it was interesting having an opportunity to revisit that after playing Resident Evil 4, and now playing Evil Within 2 is pretty cool. But there's been that, and I've been putting a lot of time into stuff like FF7 Remake, New Game Plus. So that's it for me. It's been really fun though.
Frozen, how about you, man? What you been up to playing?
As I said before, I was playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm about halfway through that game at this point. The last thing I saw was the collapse of Sectors 7, so there's that. I was also playing Persona 5 Royal before then, so I need to also get through all of that. I also played New Super Lucky's Tale and did a review for that for anyone who did not know.
We'll leave a link down in the below so you guys can check that out.
And I enjoyed that game a lot, and if that game ends up getting a sequel at some point, I'll more than likely play that. But in terms of games in the future, there's a good amount, because Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, I do want to get that. But Paper Mario as well, there's that too. But in terms of other games, mainly because of all the COVID stuff, we have no idea of any current right now that are going to be releasing it sometime soon, or of any new games, because without COVID, I'm pretty sure we would have heard of a lot more games by now. But because of that, and the fact that we're also moving into another console generation aside from Nintendo, that's another major thing as well.
Yeah. Hector, you got any games you've been playing or anything anything that you want to talk about.
Yeah, sorry, I had to mute myself there. Yeah, I've been playing through Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'm about to get 25 hours into it. I'm doing a review for it on LordsGaming.net. I wish that before, but I'll just shout it out again. And it's gonna be quite a while before that review's out because that game is very long. But it's really good. They made a lot of great different tweaks to gameplay and a lot of ease of access and convenience, quality launchers that they added to it. So I'm enjoying that. I've also been going back and forth between that and Final Fantasy 14 because I just absolutely love that game. I've been pretty addicted to it for the past year. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
playing
can't
through
feel
a
you
lot of
down
content
that.
on that. Yeah, it's really good. And they're actually going to update it with a patch from what I hear pretty soon. So looking forward to that on Final 14. But other than that, that's kind of just what I've been playing. After that, I'm looking to replay Ni no Kuni on PS4 this time, mastered version. So that'll be fun. But yeah, mostly just JRPG goodness. It's been going around here on my end, gaming. And I'm getting my gaming PC soon, so I'm actually really excited for that because Horizon Zero Dawn is supposedly coming to PC this summer, so at 60 frames.
For me, there's not a lot of games I've been playing. Like Hector, I got into Xenoblade recently. I've been playing what that game, Tokyo Mirage Session a lot. I'm playing a lot of Japanese centered games, so like Tokyo Mirage Session, a game called Blue Reflection, and then it's like Persona. And I recently beat Streets of Rage and just finished doing a review for that, so that'll be up on Monday. And Streets of Rage. And I'm just looking forward for future games. I plan on playing A Hat in Time. And SpongeBob Rehydrated, but after that, I think I'm good. I've been playing Final Fantasy 14, like Hector, and literally just gonna try to replay Final Fantasy 7 Remake on hard mode. And a lot of the games I've been playing are on stream, so yeah. Oh, and I've been playing Mortal Kombat a lot. Aftermath was, I was okay with it. It was just weird story retcons.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to doing another replay of Final Fantasy 7 Remake because I've been just itching to replay that again. You know, I've replayed it twice already.
It's a good game. It has a lot of replayability. That and Resident Evil 3. So I've only played Resident Evil 3 twice. I can't do Nightmare mode. It's not fun. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we have about an hour and 33 minutes worth of podcast. The first time we didn't go over it. Come on, guys, clap.
Hey.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's get through our closing statements. So you guys, we'll go in order of the Discord chat. Hector, you got any closing statements?
Yeah, treat everybody equally. Black Lives Matter, and keep gaming.
Frozen, any closing statements?
One, it's good to be back. Two, hopefully it stays that way. And three, I'm just hoping everyone stays safe, whether you're on the call right now or just watching the podcast. Just try to stay safe.
And last but not least, Wind, any closing statements?
Pretty much what everybody else said. Just honestly do your best to just support other people and be sure to support the 3 other people in this call. That's all I'm gonna say.
And my last closing statement is, of course, we have a lot of fun here, and that's our thing. We are an escape, and yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do the podcast a lot more monthly. Again, I'm trying to fit in everybody's schedule because I don't want to just one random day say, "Hey, we have a podcast." But yeah, stay safe. Be kind to one another. Be equal to one another. Black lives do matter. It's not the only lives that matter, but black lives at this moment matter the most right now because we kind of need to. Everybody needs to support, man. So just love one another. That's all I have to say. I love and respect every last one of you guys, and whether you're watching, whether you're in this call, whether you're in this server, you guys are my family, and I love you guys. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next podcast. On some lighter notes, hopefully. See what's going on with the gaming industry. Thank you guys for joining the Lost Masters. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.